Can speak up if you need some help.
Will do. I'll get there.
Oh, it's sitting in their sunroom because it still has a bit of an overview. Yeah, it's probably gonna take some.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell she's really excited. Oh, I know.
Yeah, well, I get one.
You saw the legs that was out. Until I finished kind of sanding it out.
There's some reason.
Got that piece of wood in the industry of golf and then really back here. But it's exactly where the knot is. Because the legs have more hit a little bit before it comes to the knot. And so
Back when you were.
most of the crack.
Oh, I can't. Nope.
I know you can do that. So, I did. One here, between the furnace and bathroom. And I.
You can't say it. You can't say that.
You know, we rubbed it all. Okay.
You get what it is, it's vibration.
So.
An agitator.
So.
Steve.
We poured this area in about 6 foot. And 5 foot. And it was like half inch under nothing.
Oh, alright.
And I made a squeegee that was 6 foot long. And a block and into the driving. You know what height that I was. Had just the rubber. Right. But I stayed with stuff that was made for this kind of cash. It's not a real fine mixed concrete and mix it up relatively pour it on the soft level. And between that and the 3D, make it give you the really grand money. And then I've got another section.
It says it can come from.
Yeah.
Try that.
Well, it's. But it's a particular mix of them. And we're going to stay in heaven. And we got back in the back room. We had like 1 or 2. Good reason. So we used a couple times.
Figured it out.
So we did it.
All right. Now we're rocking it all.
And I had another one.
All right.
And
We remember we're gonna talk about this too. Huh? We're talking about how we're gonna make somebody. Yeah, we'll mention it.
That's interesting.
That's what I want to know. Before I go do all the work.
All right, tonight. Talk about dust collection. And we got a bunch of pictures in, we got the macro physical things, we got some stories about drums. And you know, we're gonna talk about all that sort of. So is there anybody new tonight? First meeting, anything like that? I've got 2. But first name and how'd you hear about it?
My name's Vincent. I work with Adam.
Oh, all right. You're a hospital.
That's accurate.
There was for a long time. Good. It's a lot better
What do you do?
We have
Woodwork,
we,
what do you do?
we can't get a cookie online, you know, come on.
Actually, you can, but.
Different types of.
Yeah, it's a whole different thing.
If you feed us, we will come.
I just asked you what type of woodworking they were doing.
Okay, show and tell, anybody got something to show or? Oh. Well, this is what, a noodle?
It's a Cavaletti board.
Oh.
If you looked at the Woodworkers Guild of America about December timeframe, they had an article about these Cavaletti boards, which is a pasta, Italian pasta with ridges in it. And I looked at that sucker and I said, gee, I can do that.
Is that how they make Yoki or whatever?
Noki, is it?
Kind of roller. Oh, yeah.
Okay, Noki or Yoki? Yeah.
Oh.
So I figured it'd be easy to make. Unlike the instructions in the Woodworkers Guild of America article, which used a table saw set at 45 degrees, I said, geez, why not use a 90-degree rubber bed? So that's what I did. Put it on the rubber table and put a shim every 3/16 of an inch to get the ridges. Then on the back side, because one of the things people always need with these is a recipe. So we use the machine to print the recipe on the back side.
Cool.
So the question is, how many of these did you make?
About 10. Yeah, and there's only one left.
See,
All the
like,
rest
when,
were
when I
gifts.
see that, I'm like, if I'm making them, I'll make it a bunch.
Right, right.
You don't make one, you make like 10, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And to do the print on the back, it took the laser about 10 minutes to do that.
Yeah, that's just my question was just gonna be, I thought that was CNC that did that. I was thinking, why not CNC in the front? The answer goes away.
Well, I didn't do the CS. I could have done the CNC. I guess I could have. Yeah,
But it's process, you just put another little shim, you know, if it's just as easy to do it with a router table.
Yeah.
that's right.
We got a problem tonight, you know.
What?
He's got a picture. Yeah.
I can't, sorry, I didn't know, we needed.
Let's pass this around.
I don't even remember one. And the USB don't work.
I'm just curious, how do you use that?
Well, you make pasta with it. Noodles, pasta noodles, yeah, yeah. And it's a type of noodles that got ridges in it. And what you do is you make a little dollop of the dough. You push it into this edge. And then when you bring it up, you roll it around your little finger, so it's like a semi-circle. Cavaletti. Or what?
Cavatelli?
Yes.
I like some sure.
Never made it, I bought it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Here we go. That's what's done. Okay, is it this one?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you got the ridges here. Hard to see, there's.
Right.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. We have the technology to explain.
Never knew what they were called.
Jared, did you get my email?
Yeah.
I sent two. One was just a single picture.
Oh, the
The
no.
second one. Sorry,
hey.
it's next topic. When
That's what
Where am I gonna have it? Oh, this one?
I'm sorry, I didn't want. Are we done? The other one I didn't want to take away from it.
Is that an end grade?
So it's a solid grain. I didn't have a picture of the whole thing, but this is sent by my daughter. It's the first time she used it. And it's one of those things that looks ridiculously complicated and is actually quite easy to do. You take two identical boards, different species, and then you just on a bandsaw cut a pattern in it. And then when you glue it together, you glue together the alternate one. So the first, maple and walnut, then walnut and maple and so forth, glue it back together again, and then do the same, turn it 90 degrees, do the same thing, glue it together. So tons of glue, a bit of cleanup. actually went remarkably fast to do it, and kids really liked it. I mean, it's very whimsical, you know, with it's some sort of a pattern, and you know, it looks like it's really complicated to do. It's actually quite simple. to do.
Do you end up with 2 cutting boards after that?
You end up with 2 cutting boards,
Yeah.
right? You do them in pairs, so I did 4 of them. Now I'm in trouble because I had to make one for my wife. I'm gonna have to make 2 more, and somebody's gonna get an extra one.
You know, if you play chess and you drink enough beer, those lines will.
Yeah. It's called a drunken chess cutting board, actually, so. Yeah, these aren't equal. This I think was 20 by 12, what I actually cut it to be. Yeah.
8 by 8.
8 by 8, and then you could really do it, yeah.
You can get some.
Yeah.
Wonky chess.
Yeah.
And anybody else got a show and tell?
Thanks, Jared.
I got you show my pictures.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
So, my son and his wife is, back here from Hong Kong. My daughter-in-law is from Hong Kong. The political situation there is really deteriorating. To her, a Hong Kong person, walnut is some wildly exotic wood. So she asked for a walnut. And I had some, this is just plywood down here, she likes it quite a bit. But this is curly maple, which I had left over from a guest that I made for my granddaughter. I bought two long boards and I only needed one, so I used part of one on here and then show the next one. So you can see here is like, oh, but yeah, you can see the curly maple. It's also called fiddleback maple. It's comes from the weaviness of the grain. I don't understand how it does it, but it somehow is good for the acoustics of guitars and violins. So there it is, all made up. These plans came, I modified them a bit, but this is a queen size double bed, came from Woodsmith Magazine, you know, looking for it.
Sorry.
Which question? Oh,
I'll get it.
I didn't change it.
Sorry.
What did you use to connect for connectors?
To connect which,
Well,
this and this?
yeah, I mean, the side rails.
That's actually free floating in there. It
Yeah.
will expand this way.
Right.
Right, so, the upper piece and then below, seen by the pillows, so there's another piece of walnut there. And those actually have a groove all the way down. And and there's a tongue in the, curly maple. And so that is in there, and it can move a little bit this way.
Actually, I was referring to the headboard to the side rails and side rails to tailboard.
Obviously, you don't do the whole thing together, right? Because,
Well-
you'll never move it ever again in your life.
You actually can take it apart.
Yeah.
That was what I was asking.
What hardware?
Oh, what hardware? Oh, I've made a number of beds over the last few years and I've used different hardwares for each one. I don't have a picture of it, but the hardware for this came from Etsy. And there's a place on Etsy that makes I wish I brought a picture, but I know you have a question. It's the best hardware I've found so far for beds because it's really substantial and it doesn't wiggle at all. Usually I'll walk over. They live 5 doors down from me. I'll walk over and try to remember to take a picture.
Next meeting, would you show us because of
Yeah,
what you said?
take pictures or email us pictures.
Yeah.
Because I went to look at building a bed and the amount of hardware options. Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's overwhelming. Like, there's like 12 options and you're like, but I just want to attach these. Like,
Yeah, and I've used a number that I really don't like, but this one worked out great. So
Yeah.
probably, if I make another bed, I'll use that.
And it's great because I've made 0 beds and I want to make 1 and I don't want to have to learn.
Yeah. I'll when I walk over there next, I'll take a picture and send it.
That'd be great.
That email address.
Yeah.
So I just finished this. I'll give you a plug for Tom McLaughlin. He does epic woodworking. And these are his plans. This is a
I'm gonna show you a shaker chest of drawers. And it's taken me a long time because it's very complicated, but it's very traditionally made. Like there's no hardware in this at all, even for the drawers. And I really, really learned a lot doing this, and I would highly recommend the Epic Woodworking site to you guys. He also has some free stuff, shorter stuff on the YouTube. So this is a view from the front, but without the drawers. And what you can see here are dust covers. And he explains that dust covers aren't actually dust covers. People used to lock their drawers. And if you lock a drawer, you can take out the drawer on top of it and just reach down in. And so this makes each drawer its own case. So if you put a lock on it, you can't do that. Again, there's walnut is the case. The secondary wood on the inside is poplar. I don't know if you can enlarge this and then go down to the foot on the bottom. These are hand cut dovetail. Over a little bit. There. So these are all hand cut dovetails, and they're hand cut dovetails in the top of the case between the sides and the subtop. We can't see those at all, but it's nice to practice the dovetails on that before doing the dovetails that we're going to show. These things here are stops for the drawers, and they're just thin pieces of wood, but they're long. I don't know if you can see it very well, but there's a little strip of leather in the front, so that when you close the door, it's the antique version of a soft closed door. It doesn't slam the drawer when you close it. And you can see these are the drawer runners, you know, where modern furniture has metal sliding things in there. You can go to the next one. So this is a view from the front. This is a view from the back. These are sliding dovetails back here. He says this piece of furniture should last 200 years, but it's going to need some repairs every 50 years. And so, he's repaired a lot of furniture. So he has you put it together in a way that makes it easy to repair. So the whole thing is made with hide glue. And these are sliding dovetails here. And these are not glued in at all. They'll come out. You can take the dust covers out. So you can work with this whole thing that's empty. The outside I finished with armor seal. The inside is finished with shellac. Because you don't want to use armor seal on the inside. When you put the drawers in, it'll be a closed space and it'll take forever for the oil base to off gas. And so this whole thing comes apart from the back. Next one. Hit the button. This is some spalted hickory that Tony and I found at the lumberjack sale 6 to 8 months ago. And it's shiplap in the back. So remember, the wood's going to expand this way. These are 1/16 of an inch shims.
Is she have a continuous drain on this thing?
Is it what?
It almost like that's a continuous drain here.
Well, these were long boards, 8-foot long boards. They were really cheap because they had a lot of defects. And so I got 2 of the 6 of these. I got 2 of them out of each board. And they came from a lot, you know. They cut down a tree and they slice it.
Yeah.
And then they stack it and you can buy it. And I managed to position where I was cutting the wood out to get rid of most of the junk. And you can see there's just one knot there that I was stuck with. And I did cheat and I used super glue on that to reinforce it. You just sprinkle super glue on it, that's the knot keep falling out.
That's cheating, boy.
Yeah, I said there was no hardware, but there's some.
Are they Phillips?
No, they're star screws.
Oh, you didn't do flat, or you didn't do
Sliders.
I hate those.
Yeah.
So remember the curly maple from the bed? This is from the same board that the bed's made out of. And this is a continuous grain. If you look, you can follow the grain across there. You know, you really have to make everything. The top I made is one board which I cut and then turned this way and put together. So if you look at the edge where that was turned, it's bookmarked. The edge is bookmarked. And you know, you take a strip here and you glue it to a chunk piece of wood, and then you run that through the router to make this is kind of curved like this. And then you have that miter the end. Yeah, then after you run it through the router, you then run it through the table saw to cut off the secondary wood. But you do that because it's just safer to handle. So, questions?
Oh, there's one more thing.
Oh, is there another slide? Oh, yeah. So here's the top. That's made out of one board. And the other, I opened these so you can see they're all hand cut dovetails on the drawers. And if you look carefully at the bottom, I varied from his plans a bit, and I made the bottoms of the drawers out of aromatic cedar. So if you fill it with sweaters and things, you won't get moth holes in it because they don't like the cedar. You don't have to use mothballs if you have this at the bottom.
What did his plan say to you?
What is what?
What did his plan say to you?
Oh, he just uses pine.
Solid wood.
Yeah, like white pine. He likes to use white pine as a secondary wood because it's light compared to most hardwoods. And this is a heavy piece. I mean, we took the doors out. Tony and I carried it up from a basement shop, so we had to carry up a flight of stairs, and we were huffing and puffing much.
Well, there's a turn in those stairs.
Of course there is.
Couple of old men.
Always is.
There's a turn from the shop to the stairs, and then there's a turn in the middle. Stairs.
As long as you didn't have to do what Garrett did. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that. He had to take out chunks of wall to get his piece out of his.
No, if we'd have taken out chunks of wall, we would have heard them calling.
Some of you will remember when I stuck the oyster bit from my hand, making balls for the kindergarten teacher. But one of the things she had me make one time was a floor to ceiling bookcase, which I made. And I couldn't get out of my shop. Tried taking it through the window. I wound up sort of cutting it in half and then putting it back together in her classroom.
I had to do that. I did a built-in bedroom.
True confessions here.
Made it out of the shop fine, went to put it in and my measurements were a little too precise and it wouldn't get over the carpet. So I had to cut the whole top part of it off and put it in that one.
You know the difference between carpentry and woodworking.
I did.
Nathan and Inch. Any other questions? Sorry, I didn't mean to go on for that long.
Nice job.
Got a project there?
Yeah.
So, what do you plan? Oh, sorry, Thomas Tusano. Few of you might have seen me actually darkening the doorway here a couple of times. I've just been too busy to pop in, and finally had some free time. But I make what I call tavern wares, and basically kitchenwares and little board games meant for, you know, warm bar spaces, your basement bars, things like that. So you can pass this around, but this is just a marble solitaire game, based off the ones I used to see in my grandparents' craft store. They used to sell very similar things. So, but I do dice trays. I've done large table builds, a whole bunch of different things. But I think just that, my cutting boards show off how tight I've been able to get my glue joints, and super proud of that. So,
How'd you do this?
the laser engraver here. So, yeah,
How'd you cut the circle?
the shop bot. So I'd probably say Yeah, I'd probably say I'm a wood machinist more than a woodworker. And so just because I like incorporating a shop bot and more machines than actual hand tools. So which might be a sin, I don't know. But yeah, I just design, and because I'm a one person operation, I just use lean a lot on CNC and VCarve. So actually I apologize, behind the computer, what was
Yeah, sure.
Jared, could you bring up TusanoTradingCo.com? Because that's a wider portfolio of what I've got.
Yeah, you gotta.
TUSANO. Trading Co.
Did I get it right?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
So I've developed things like basically fancy inspired charcuterie boards, a bar board with a built-in margarita rimmer, pastry board with engraved pie circles. Those are like my dice trays that I've done, as well as just a bog standard cutting board. So, and I'm just focused on getting fast and getting high quality with very, very simple projects to try to make woodworking my living, because there's always going to be a need for cutting board and charcuterie and all the little small kitschy stuff. So, and then, you know, clients are really impressed with this. They'll come after me for my furniture and desk builds and thematic pieces that, you know, then I can really let the flag fly per se. So, yes.
Good job.
Thank you.
Joe.
Yeah, I had that up. Was this it? Isaac?
Yeah, it's, I use a pole lathe for turning. You know what a pole lathe is? Yes. This is what can harvest the wood. I make cherry tree with shells and I snap it. Cherry and the making is a tree down in another stone.
You use a pole lathe for
Yeah.
this?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's old school.
guys, I learned it in England. I lived for 6 years in England. I worked for Ford anyway, so I learned.
Your calves must be strong.
Yeah, well, used to be. I built chairs.
Cool, man. It's really good. It's awesome.
This is just.
This is impressive. What, how'd you get the dark rings on it?
That's the easiest. You take a piece of cable, cut
Yeah.
the gray cable from the pipe,
Ah, okay.
and hold it between two handles,
Just burns it.
Burned it. Got it.
and you work on your cows.
Sorry, I don't turn. That's why.
When you use shavings, you don't sand it. You use shaving.
Yeah, burn it.
You burn it.
Like the shape of the pegs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can bring it from there.
You do.
Gotta do that.
Okay. Anyone else to show and tell?
Love to see it.
Okay, so this is a little out of the ordinary when it comes to woodworking. So I'm Mike Grillo. I'm in the middle of helping a group from Warbirds of Glory. We're restoring a B-25 bomber from World War II up at the New Hudson Airport. So it's the Milford Road exit off of 96. Convenient because my office where I work is only 3.5 miles away, so I spend a lot of lunches here. But we've got woodworking projects going on. So we're a nonprofit. Everyone there is volunteer. We teach high school and college age kids the fine art of American craftsmanship for free, as long as they're interested. We'll teach them everything from basic toolmanship with hand tools to using power tools to running CNC lathes and CNC mills. They get to do sheet metal work and electronics and hydraulics. But what I wanted to talk to you about today was the actual woodworking side of World War II aircraft. So the legacy of World War I was almost every plane back then was built out of either spruce and canvas. Some of that still carried over into World War II. So parts of our plane are still, there's still fabric on some components of it. We've got 2 World War II aircraft training modules. They're like little mini planes that you sit in. They're made out of wood frames. They're canvas covered. They've got instrument panels in them, but they all need different levels of restoration. We have there's a ladder on the inside of the plane, which is wood. So all of these different projects that we have need attention.
And I thought that this would be a really good group of people to just reach out and see if there's any interest, if somebody wants to do a little bit something different and out of the ordinary and contribute to the restoration of this plane. If it's going to be a flyer again, that is the ultimate goal. Out of the 9,800 planes that were made of B-25s in World War II, about 100 exist in the world, and only about 40 of them are flying. So this will be a pretty rare bird when it's done. What I will do is on our website, I will go ahead and post some information on it. And if we get enough interest, if people, even if you guys just want to go up and get a tour to see it, once we have enough interest in there, we can kind of work it out and figure out a day and a time. I've got the keys to the hangar, so that's not a problem to accommodate schedules that way. And you guys can actually take a look at some of the projects and we can go from there. The only caveat is because some of this stuff is pretty rare, most of the work would have to be done in the hangar. Some of the smaller stuff could be taken home. A problem that we've had in the past with doing this is that unless we know your skill level and trustworthiness, then I just have to be honest, because some of the stuff is incredibly hard to get a hold of. It's 80 years old. So if something gets damaged or something goes missing, that's where we run into issues. But working in the shop is not a problem. We have a paint booth. We have a lot of tools there. We don't have a lot of woodworking tools. You know, your basic stuff that you have. But like I said, I'll post something on the forum and we can go from there. All right. Oh, and there's a bunch of information up here if you guys want to take a look, but I can pass some of the stuff around.
When you put stuff up on the web, sort of explain what you're actually looking for. I mean,
Yep,
you know,
yeah, I
some
can
examples of-
put some pictures.
Yeah,
up.
that'd be great.
So, every now and then, so the club doesn't have dues, obviously, right? So, but we do have expenses. We pay, honestly, like $350 a year for email. I know that sounds crazy, but there are over 500 people on our email list. Obviously not 500 people here, but there's 500 people on the email list. And we allow anyone who joins that we put them on the list, and eventually we go through and we start weeding it out. But if people aren't opening the emails, so open the emails if you want to get them. All right, otherwise you won't get them. But so
And then there's fundraisers too.
we also we pick the cookies, and then like we pay like $10 a month to have less ads on our forum, because otherwise I know there's still a lot, but it's worse. It's crazy, but yeah. So the last fundraiser we did was in 2021, and we had 2020. There was an Adirondack chicken. It was great. We bought the hardware. It was like normally the hardware is like, if you went out and did it yourself, it was like $75 or something. We got it for like 20, or we set float for 30, 25, something like that.
You make the hardware stuff float around?
Yeah, we do. So great question. If there's enough interest, like the minimum we want, if we need, if you want just one or two, we have some. But if people want a whole bunch, we can do another order, because it's actually a great way for the club to make money, because when we buy it in huge quantities for a good discount, I mean, we made, I think between the 2 years, we made $500, which sounds great, but that's like 2 years of email. So we're getting lower. So we thought, hey, what if we made some of these? Because I don't know if you guys remember, 3 months ago, 2 months ago, Dave Zarek came in and talked about how he made some of these, but he made them with like his laser cutter and then like glued on some blocks. So we thought, hey, what if we like make a whole set like that? Those are pretty cool. And there's some cheap knockoff ones I know online. So these are the woodpeckers, you know, the expensive one. And how much were these? So
Woodpecker price.
yeah. One of them, just to get like, you know, 2 sizes, $35. So, you know, it's up there. So we were thinking maybe we could make some of these, and then we could get some of those like small router bits and like make a whole set of it, right? And make like, they're not going to be as fancy, but they're like precision ground. We're going to do them out of wood on Dave Zarek's laser. So I didn't know if people had that interest. As there was an idea of like, hey, we could do these, because I actually have a need for them, and I'm tired of pulling out a paint can. Because that's my radius is. I have the assortment of paint cans. So I thought that'd be something kind of useful. So if anyone has interest, anyone? Yeah, no?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I just want, before I go and spend a bunch of work designing, I want to make sure some people are like, yeah, we'll see. I don't know the price yet, we gotta, but we'll try to keep it.
As long as they're lower than that.
Yeah, oh, yeah. I think kind of my goal is like without a bit, it'd be like $40 a goal. And then like, you know, we chuck in some of the, like, if we get, I was thinking to find a way to do a group order for like, those 1/4-inch router bits, like the spiral ones with the bearing. You know, we just do a big group buy on that. Maybe we can find it. Yeah. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
That is a great idea.
I didn't hear what he said.
Neil at Saul Specialty, Saul Specialty is a place in Romulus.
Oh,
Yeah.
They do a lot of stuff.
Really good sharpening and.
Yeah.
Go to work with this on. Route
We,
1.
long time ago, he came in and presented,
Sells insurance.
phenomenal. He presented on saw blades.
That was really good.
Still useful to this day.
Run acrylic by Dave. See if you
Yeah, I
do
can.
acrylic.
I can ask him. That costs a lot more.
Not as much as aluminum.
It's not, but it's a lot more, and I want to try to keep the cost low.
Titanium is lightweight.
Yeah, lightweight, yeah. And so that way, if you cut it, it just starts burning.
Or just trains around the room.
Yeah. It's gone.
Yeah.
Exactly. Good. All right, so I will spend effort now to work on it. All right. Is there anything else, Miss Steve?
No, I think that's it. Now we get on to our contemplation.
What one is that?
And then, we wanna start with mine or?
Yeah, let's start with yours. You're up.
Let's start with the poles.
Not this one. Yeah.
Let's step back.
Go. There we go.
So what I've got is, yeah, and Jared just went out and got a drum.
Yeah,
we're gonna
talk about it.
And he's gonna be using a larger dust deputy also. I've got an old, this is a Harbor Freight. And then I've got a wind filter on top of it took the bags off. And I got the plastic bag on the bottom. And it comes off and goes over to, it's actually kind of, well, it goes over to my CNC. If I want to use it for something else, I take the hose off the CNC and I stick it into this, which is on a clamp, and then I can run it over to the joiner planer and all goes together. I was telling Jared, and Jared's got a different problem, but you know, the nice thing about it is even though this is a solid drum, is that if you lift, flip it over, I think the picture there that shows that off. Yeah, you take the top off and I put a stick down in there. So it can tell me how full the drum is.
So my problem is I have a basement shop. I have very low ceiling. Okay, and the 55-gallon drum, that's not 55 gallon, it's tall, pretty tall. So with that on there, I don't think I could put a stick in it. I mean, maybe I could put a stick and it'd be like, yeah, it's full, but I don't know at what point. So what I'm gonna do is
Carrying it out of the basement's a problem.
that I'm not worried about. I already got a solution for that. I have a dolly that I keep tripping over. I'm just gonna strap to my drum and it's never gonna leave there. It's gonna live on the drum. That's the solution. And
I have an answer for your stick.
Oh, wow.
Use a folding rule. You can just fold it down.
You guys, you're thinking too difficult. String, yeah. String a ball, string a washer, string a block of wood, string of whatever's near me. It could be anything.
I don't get, how's a string and a washer help you?
So all you gotta do is it's like, you literally, I'm gonna just tie a knot when I know it's full, and then I tie a couple other, do a knot where it's half, and I might like mark it, you know? And so I just drop the string in there, and when the string stops being tight, that's how far it is.
Wow.
And I can hold it to the outside.
The idea is you can do the same thing with my stick, but I've got it when I get about a little over half full. I've got a mark on my stick. And I know if the stick comes down to that top there, I should be.
You got a dust collector story stick.
Yeah.
sorry.
Jared's gonna have a dust collector story string.
That's exactly, that's the best word for it.
And
Yeah, exactly. So
So I have to ask the question. How often do you put the stick in there to check it? Because I know I went out and ordered one of those sensors with the light because I don't check it enough and then it's full and then I go, crap. So I went and
how much was that?
wasn't crazy. It was.
I've seen also people make.
You can make it, yeah, you can make it for like $50.
Okay.
I posted on the web the pictures because I was before I was on my way here. And so I essentially, you can see the red light on the wall right behind the collector. It started blinking at me and I go, oh.
So there's,
I knew that's great.
there's sensors that will then, like, there's a light, I think it's just a light that flashes. Is that
Yeah,
right?
it's just a red light that flashes at me, like,
Yeah.
hey, jackass, go into this.
And I have a
Stop
strobe, I have a
playing.
strobe that goes on and it's
Yeah,
again,
you
like.
complained enough, you're done. Go
I don't
empty
want
it.
to clear out your cyclone and half your hose. You better stop now.
Yeah.
Because I caught myself twice dumping chips into my filter and I'm like, all right, this is it, done.
Oh, yeah. I mean, for the headache that it costs us, $50 is well worth it.
Yeah.
And you can buy them commercially that I think a night is somewhere in the $100.
I think I bought mine. from-
Something,
Yeah.
something like
Still,
that. You drill one hole
For
in.
$100, I was done trying to blow out I bought these filters and I.
What's it called?
Onita makes it,
Yeah.
it's on their website.
Yeah, you can find on the Irish
But if
website.
you, like, not go now, but if
You
when
drill
you
it.
guys are home, if you guys go on just our regular website, I posted it as a reply to this meeting thing, just with a couple pictures, you'll see.
You drill a hole in the
Yeah.
lid and then it just threads on
This.
there and then you just.
Oh, it's
Wire
expensive
it,
now.
plug in, wire it to some sort of a strobe
Yes,
or a light
that
or
is
something like that.
Exactly what I
Sensor, there you go.
It's got that red light,
The laser detector, how's it?
it just, it's not.
Infrared.
Infrared.
It's an IR sensor, yeah.
It's actually not, it's a strobe, I think, and not just a red light, but maybe they changed it.
It yells at me.
That's good to know.
I had all great intentions to like, I'll check this
Mhm.
regularly, I'll
Yeah,
do this
look.
thing, and
Okay,
And you can adjust the height,
So-
by the way, where it triggers.
so Steve, you want to continue on yours before I get to my whole rant of my plan?
Yeah, just for a second.
Yeah, of course.
But the other thing I want to say is, like, when you're using a drum, any one of these, you always want to get a drum that's got this latch,
Yeah.
you know. And so I put a big black, bag in it. And so now the next thing you come into is, well, first, when the bag is empty and clean, the first thing it's gonna do is gonna suck right up into it and block the whole damn system.
Yes.
So you gotta put something in it. And what I used was, they sell these things, they're thin plastic, they got holes in them. They sell them to put in like, for your leaf bag in your yard. Keep the bag open and then you can just pull it right out. So that's what I've got in mind.
I've seen like wire cages that do that too, so you
Yeah.
they pull right through the pile of dust.
Yeah, you gotta have something that's gonna pull through pile.
Like an
But
upside down
they-
tomato.
Like, I think Oneida sells them and it's like $50. I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
not spending $50 for a
No.
piece of plastic. I saw that and I thought,
I think I got mine
I bet
for
I-
$12 on Amazon.
yeah, that's what I'm like, there's gotta be something I can hack together. to make it.
What's wrong with the brick?
A brick.
You gotta go fishing for it.
So, actually, on the top,
You dump it out upside down, then you just pull
so,
up the top.
okay, I
That's
don't
what
know
the
what you
bag
guys
is, so
see.
you just throw the bag in
So
the
where
trash.
I live, all the houses were built in the '50s, everything's brick, okay? And every house, when you buy your house, it comes with a random pile of bricks. It probably doesn't match the house, it might, and it's definitely just doesn't make sense. So I have a huge random pile of bricks, so I have thought, why buy a thing when I can literally get rid of my bricks and dust at the same
One
time?
at a time, one bag at a time.
One time.
You can say this is a 5-brick project.
Yeah, exactly. How many bricks is this thing? Well,
That's
I
like
mean,
one bricker.
it sounds like drugs, but it's not.
What do you do?
Especially when your bricks are in bags, that's
Me?
definitely a drug deal.
So I don't have I live in a small house in a small area, so I throw it in the trash. Because I don't wanna put it in the yard waste, because there's a whole bunch of like random other stuff I suck up in there, so that's my solution.
We put it in the burner pit.
That's a good option too.
I was gonna say, as long as it's not like loaded with plastic, whatever, I throw it in the compost bin and.
I did
Gotta be
plant
careful,
a ton of cypress recently this summer, and I got, it was a lot, so I have to keep up to my, different stage dust collector.
Yeah.
But, I literally just put it as mulch. I just filled it all in.
You gotta be careful putting
Yeah.
sawdust, too much sawdust in a garden, it changes the pH.
Yeah.
And you gotta be careful if you're using something like walnut, because the walnut actually,
Is
if it's fresh,
It'll
will kill things, so.
This was like, this is not around plants.
Yeah.
This is for me to not have to pull weeds and like.
You
not have
want it to kill things.
Yeah, legit, that was the plan, like, it's this or Roundup, and this was just less work, I'm like, I already gotta deal with it, so, yeah.
Had to keep one brick that week.
Yeah.
Slow down your.
Sawdust on the yard.
Alright, so here is my plan, so I have a different system set up. Alright, so we're gonna start with the barrel. So Steve, when we had our board meeting, we said, hey, we need a barrel. I'm like, I need a barrel. And here's like, well, I got one from work. It's like, great. How do I get one? And they're like, well, I don't want to, honestly, I don't want to spend like this. Because people keep up posting barrels and I see them on Marketplace or whatever, and everyone's like $20, $30. It seems like a lot of money for something that you're throwing out.
Yeah.
So Steve gratefully said, hey, there's this place on Craigslist I got. Let me send you it. For some reason you had it in a Word doc, which was awesome. It's a place, right? It's in Detroit. It's a unique, a fun area, like all places. And I called them, and I guess.
I mean, you just go down 94, get off the exit, it's one block over. and-
Yeah. Oh no, it was fine. They're real nice people. Like I showed up, and they're like, "Oh, how's it going?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's fine." Like, I didn't know this place was open, but all right, like, cool. They're real nice. I gave them a call. They're like, well, we haven't posted. Let me go ask. There's 3 people who work at the entire place, I guess, but as I was told, and they had a whole bunch. So I grabbed, these aren't my photos.
By a whole bunch, but the last 2 times I've went there, they had probably 100 that they would give you.
Oh,
They're all free.
So here's what I did. I got, this is actually my messy garage. I got, these 2. And the reason I have 2 is I'm actually gonna, because I got a basement shop, and then Garrett came up with the idea of because I'm gonna put the dust collector into one, keep the other one for transportation out of your basement. So that way if it falls over, you don't spill everything, which I thought was a great idea. So that's what I'm doing. And then they had 3 with locking lids, so I brought it in. So if anyone wants it, take it, because otherwise it's going on Marketplace and someone else is gonna get it free. Okay.
$20.
No, it's got some residue in it, and so I dumped, like, all of them had like random stuff because it's a paint factory. So I just dumped sawdust in it to clean it all up because I thought that was fitting use of sawdust, right? You have to put more sawdust in. So mostly because I didn't want to stick it to the bag. Yeah.
I had a very similar experience before I moved. I picked up a 55-gallon steel drum. They were doing sugar, I think, in it was what it was, I think. And it was like that, it looks like a grade 8 bolt, so it had that like gold hue on the steel.
Yeah.
And I think I paid 12 or $14 for it. Dude was real nice, but it was an interesting place, and they probably had 500 of the damn things.
So when I went there, they had 3 with the locking lid. So I got all 3 because I'm like, they all fit, I'm taking them. And the rest had like the small button holes or whatever they call them. And so like I was like, no, I'm not messing with that. Yeah. So
Way smarter than mine.
Can't get a brick in that hole.
I bought the 55-gallon, the same thing, at $15.
Yeah.
Steel one. God, does that suck to empty?
That's a clear and a half to lift up.
It's
It's
heavy.
heavy. It's heavy on its own, and then you add, and then you add sawdust down.
Half the thing's on, so plastic is.
yeah, people say the fiber ones are real good.
Yeah.
Like this was free.
No,
I got it
plastic
free.
is-
Take what you
I know
can.
plastic. I was gonna do it again. Just have this thing there.
Well, someone better take this because I mean I'll take it home, but I don't want it.
Here's another thing you want, I'm gonna warn you about. When you go to get barrels, you go get them. Sometimes you don't want to tell everybody. Okay?
Because then they disappear, run out.
No. First thing happened was my daughter wanted to put the barrels in her garage is separate away from the house as rain barrels.
Oh, yeah.
So she could get rain and then she could water her garden. Well, then one neighbor saw that and said, oh, can your father get more? Oh, yeah, he can get more.
Barrel guy.
I was the barrel guy for a summer and a half.
Barrel Steve.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, look, if you're charging $20 a pop, it's not bad. But
Yeah, well, just, so anyway, yeah, just just humor, but yeah. I find out that as you get them home, all of a sudden somebody else in the household says. You know,
So
anyway,
are you gonna post the address or name of that place?
but then, yeah, we can put that, yeah. And
So,
like Jared said, they're friendly as heck.
yeah, they're real nice people. So,
They open up the gate, you pull in, and they basically say, yeah, they're,
they literally said,
Whichever one
don't
you
take
want."
those, take those ones. Oh, okay. Bye, and that was it.
What does the place do? Just store barrels?
No, they make paint.
Oh,
I
it's a
haven't
paint
looked it up,
factory.
yeah.
Oh.
Cause there's the name of the thing, I looked it up, they make paints, specialty paints. I
Do you
guess.
know what chemicals were in them? 'Cause if
I
you're
did.
Excited to give them away for free.
No, I looked it up, it wasn't that bad.
Really good, wasn't that bad?
No, one of them was like a rubbery coating, and it's like, it's foundation stuff for like latex. So I'm like, latex paint, I'm like. It's like, I get that on my skin, and
and actually, the couple.
I wore gloves, but,
A couple I got, they're completely dry, you know, they, you know.
well, and there was like a little bit in mine, that's why I just dumped us, all this and then.
And fill them up with sawdust a few times.
Yeah, that's kind of
Sawdust
like,
soaks
I'm like,
everything up.
it's gonna self clean here at some point.
Yeah.
So this is what I started with, this is my current setup, but I have the Delta one, it was a Craigslist deal. $50, and it came with a trash can that someone definitely had been using as like a separator. That when you would turn on, the whole thing would, you know, one of those. But it was, it's been great, and like I said, I've used this for years. Got it in 2018, so I mean. Then this one is expensive, yes, I would say $150 is a little high. When I spent 50, so you can find them used cheap. But that works, but the thing that caused me to, I'm going over the edge to fix this is I routed all that MDF, that stool project, and I painted all my walls white, and they weren't white after that. Cause that bag is awful. So I got time to upgrade. That pushed it.
Now upgrade the blower or the filter?
Oh. Great question. I made a diagram in PowerPoint.
A flow diagram.
Flow diagram, yeah. So here's the thing. I got the Dust Deputy XL, just like Steve had in his photo. Got it at Menards, because then there's no shipping at the store. And I got that 12% discount.
Sweet Christmas discount rebate.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're.
My drum with the lid, that I had. This Harbor Freight dust collector with motor. So it's the 2 horsepower one that someone else gave me for free. Because they got it for free and they had, so I don't know what to do with this. I'm like, great, okay. So they didn't have the stand like Steve has. It's just the blower and the motor.
Yeah.
So perfect. So I can mount it. I also have a bunch of lollicoms or whatever in my shop. They're like 1.5 feet from the wall, just because of how it landed. So I'm gonna put the filter in between that and the wall because I can't
Use anything there. Right?
Yeah, nothing else works, so I put the filter. Then I saw like Stumpy Nubs did one with this where you do a wood box, it's like a 5-inch hose to a wood box, and then the wind environmental filter, and then there's like on the bottom. I've seen people you do those.
Check the pictures I posted online, it's exactly that.
Yeah. It's
the wood cuts. So it's a plenum box, so.
it just goes from one side to the other, really.
Yeah. So I did the same, so that's a 2-horse grizzly that I tore all apart and then we put it together, so.
Yeah, this is exactly it, but I'm gonna do 1 filter.
So 1 is more than enough. I did 2 in case I ever wanted to, so that's a 2-horse. If I ever want to make that to a 3-horse. Based on some stuff I read, I was like, oh, you should probably go with 2 of these things, and so I didn't want to ever throw that away.
Yeah.
And start again, so I went, forget it, I just built it for the future and said.
It's like wind environmental, there's the one like Steve's where it goes on the stand and it says like, oh, this is 230 square feet or whatever. And then these were also like 230 and I'm like, I'm just gonna do this one.
Yeah. And those are those spin connectors.
Yeah.
At Menards.
Yeah, the
Food
gamma lid.
So the filters are connected to the gamma seals by the little brackets that wind cells.
Yep.
The little screw clamp.
And then there's at the top and the bottom, so I can unscrew the bottom and empty the.
Are those the fabric filters or the paper ones? Is that woven that you can spray out with water? I talked to some dude when I bought mine. He was like, "Oh, you can spray this one out. It's like a lifetime filter." I was like, "Well, I guess I've got a lifetime filter."
You know what? I didn't look into whether or not I could spray it. It, like I said, they're from Win.
I think we're supposed to use compressed air.
Yeah.
When it's just compressed air, they don't.
Oh, the one I've got, I sprayed mine out.
Okay.
It works out pretty well.
Yeah.
He told me, well, it's a polyester fabric one. It had fewer square
What's
foot.
this one for?
So there's a link in YouTube that shows the guy who makes came up with the unbox idea, so I, was trying to figure this out on my own. And he put one on the front in case something gets sucked up in there and you have to like go in there and get it. So it's literally just, I can open it up and I can connect.
See, you could have just used like a wood, like put a piece of wood over it and like
Absolutely.
screwed it.
I went to-
And you
I
could call it in.
I was like, I need 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, this is my plan, but I'm gonna use the flange one.
Yes.
So I'm doing this, because then you do this, it's open on both ends, that I'm gonna put, and my plan is to find a clear bucket, not the.
Yes.
Because then it's more of a, hey, you really messed up.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hoping I'll figure out. And then you just drill some like 4 holes.
Yeah.
And just couple screws and 4 screws and.
I'm really glad to see I'm not the only one who's gonna cannibalize, who has already cannibalized the hell out of their dust collector. I got a Jet for 1100. I mounted, that's been on the ceiling for years before I moved.
I got tired of moving it around. It was always like to sit up on
Yeah.
the wall.
Oh, I'm a big fan of full shop plumbing. I like that.
Yeah, so I have a small shop. That's a whole topic to cover. We'll get into that next. That is a whole conversation.
Go back to the picture. Oh, that is kind of an interesting thing, right?
Which one? This?
Scroll up on that one.
Scroll up.
This is yours. That's your house.
Oh, okay, so, yeah, go to mine.
Yeah, we know.
Okay, so. This kind of like, this one is, this the pleated bag on the top and it's a plastic bag on the bottom.
I got this.
The great thing about the plastic bag at the bottom is that all you gotta do is touch it. And if your finger goes in real easy, your filter's clean.
Yeah.
If the bag starts to get a little tight, you gotta clean your filter.
While it's running, you mean?
No, I turn it
So,
off. And
yeah, Steve here's got a solution. I don't have the photo. He's got an agitator he put on it.
Yeah, agitator. We're gonna go with
Yeah,
agitator.
and we're gonna use agitator.
Because the
On the
white
inside,
real
yeah.
term. But, and actually, Eric, it wasn't as good a story as you had, but I put this agitator on top of the this drum here, on top of the filter. And they sell it. Actually, what it's sold for is for concrete.
Oh, yeah.
So when you pour concrete, you wanna burp the air out of it. And you see so it's only a little 40-watt thing. It's not very big. And so I put it on the top. Now, the thing is, you got to adjust these things. Because if you turn it on when it comes from the factory at 100% power. 100% power is crazy, but then it gets for concrete, okay? So you got to take the little caps off the ends and adjust the little thing. I did it first time, not enough, second time, not enough, third time, not enough. I think the third time I actually got it to where I wanted to be. But then I figured out I learned why there's a good reason for having them little protective cups on the side. I cut the top of my finger up pretty well, good. Yeah, because they do run pretty fast, but anyway.
So does it work well?
I don't know. I haven't used it. Here's the thing, I thought it would. So my filter did have some stuff in the pleats. And so, and where mine is, the back side of it is against the wall. Actually, 2 sides of it are against walls. So getting an air hose in there is an absolute pain. So the reason I tried this was the fact that if it vibrated enough, maybe it'd fall out of the pleats. My first look it didn't seem like that. So, well, I'll know more next month whether this But they're only $35, so.
They may have experience with like, I know Jet started putting in the little flapper wheel that you can crank.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I was
don't think
gonna,
that would just wear the crap out of that part of the filter.
I got a couple of comments.
sure,
Well, it doesn't,
Um,
it doesn't because the rubber flappers are not that aggressive.
Oh, they're not
against
abrasive,
it.
okay. Do they work well?
Oh, yeah.
They get
It does,
crap out
it
of
works
it?
out pretty well.
Okay,
That's what I had before.
okay.
I did it.
now, one of the other reasons I tried this vibrating thing, agitator, is that's kind of common in factories.
Yeah. Oh, I think Taurus do, they come built in with a vibrator or a shaker.
Yeah, shakers up something, so it's not, but it didn't seem like it worked perfectly the first time for me, so I don't know, we'll see. So,
I got a couple of comments on this. You know that, all in all that, sawdust out of your basement. And you're gonna put your cart on that, use that little hand truck that was good. I've taken my hand trucks that I've got and I put, wheels on it that are about this big. I get them from like lawnmowers
Oh, yeah.
and I'll tell you, they are great for
Get
taking
upstairs.
stuff upstairs.
Yeah,
Or if you're out in the yard,
big old wheel.
I've done that for about 4 or 5 of my hand trucks and it makes a world of difference. I'm using that hand truck. And I've had other people comment, and I end that thing like, hey, that looks like a pretty handy tool, and it is. I'm in the process of building a house for myself. And the idea that I had for my basement wood shop, I buried 2 pieces of 4-inch PVC under the ground and coming up into the garage. And if you guys shop is close to your garage, could you put a pipe somewhere out and to the garage so that the sawdust is deposited out in the garage rather than down in the basement?
so
interesting.
it's funny you say that, Garrett's not here, but that's actually exactly what he does. He was describing it to us in our, board meeting. He was saying, oh yeah, no, he puts his whole dust collector out in the garage and he just pipes it out there. But he doesn't have a pipe that comes back though, I think. So
Yeah,
like,
because you're gonna, the makeup air.
you need makeup air, and so like, that's my concern. I'm like, that's a great idea, put it in a different room. You have to have something else, or else you're gonna start backdrafting furnaces.
It annoys you too, so.
Well, it's in the
outside,
garage.
it's great.
They make there used to be a
Well-
thing that was called equal air. It was a unit for folks that had the same problem, and you would put it like in your, in the wall in the basement, like above grade, and it would, when you reduce pressure, it opens up.
Ah,
I think I saw Matt Reisinger
Well,
do a thing on that about that.
I got my idea of those 2 PVC pipes, because I had seen some sort of product that, your dust collection on the other side, has a good filter in it, so what, it's a sealed system, so it'll suck that air and put it back in, but it's been filtered. And I can't
Yeah,
remember what that.
so I thought about this actually earlier today, if I were to do this, I don't have an attached garage. I would, like, especially if I was filming, I was gonna put, one pipe, have the dust collector in one corner, and the other corner I was gonna pull the makeup air, so at least then it filters it, and then you have all that air moving slowly across your garage, so your cars are dusty maybe, if you have bad filters, but the makeup air is probably nice and clean by then.
You can get cars in the garage?
You don't have tools.
You guys just saw the photo. What are you talking about? This is my garage. You fit a car in there? No, there's a bunch of cedar and cypress and walnut and snow blowers and kids' toys and more kids' toys.
Jared, is that red and black toolbox yours or your son's?
Oh, that's my electrical one.
Okay, so say my son has one that's got like a mini use box on it, because it's just the most Chinese.
No, his toolbox is full of chalk and bubbles.
Okay.
I think that the way Dave's system works is that he has the air filters inside. So he
Yeah,
doesn't have to worry about that, but then the main part of the dust then actually goes outside and falls into 2 containers.
so,
And that's actually outside the building, and he has a couple of doors that
so,
you can
and I think,
get to it.
I'm not sure, I think here it's the same thing, right? The cyclone's outside.
It's outside out here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the cyclone's outside, but the filters are inside, so it doesn't matter, right? You can set it
Exactly.
out, you set it right back.
Exactly, same system.
This is really convenient timing because I am literally in the midst of putting my shop together since I moved.
So,
Okay, so now Dave doesn't really, it may sound like he doesn't really exhaust the dust, sawdust out.
No, it just falls out of the cyclone.
his bin is
False, no.
accessible from outside.
Uses his
Yeah,
tractor. to do that.
What he's got is like a small, he's got two doors that he opens, so he can put a skid steer on and it goes into a bin there.
Right.
And then he moves it to where he's gonna move it to.
Yep.
So, I mean, if you live way out in the rural areas, I mean, you just shoot it out the darn window, I
So
guess.
my question with your diagram, my shop's in my barn. If I have the dust collector, instead of going to the wood box and a wind filter, I just blow that out the wall.
You can, you gotta have
Dust
makeup
is-
air. You just
Yeah.
need the makeup air.
Yeah, or if you have
condition
makeup there, because otherwise you can back up.
Also, I'm not sure you wanna just throw that stuff outside, you know.
Why?
I think it's gonna actually make a mess over time.
Yeah.
I
Depends on how many acres.
You
you
know,
have.
it just-
It depends if it's, the only thing that would- if it's raining outside, you'll just start to get that off the side of your barn.
Yeah.
Because it's gonna stick.
I guess the question is,
Run an extra pipe out, like an exhaust stack, like, you know, on big trucks, have it straight up. And like some chrome tip.
Share with the neighbors.
Yeah, chrome tip it right out, right?
The wind's going the wrong direction, you'll be unhappy.
Yeah, it looks like a smokestack if you're doing it real good.
you ever get your setting message,
Email?
text. I can talk about the.
I don't have text.
Oh, yeah, fine. I can cover the DC 1100
That's
too.
what I got.
Oh, okay, I can pull this up. I can't get text, that's my phone over there.
Ah,
This is
okay.
my computer.
Explain those like gesturing to your mic on. Okay, so DC 1100,
I have
the
heavily
VX,
modified
the
version
vortex
of that.
one,
DX.
whatever, it's right there.
Hold on.
That's enough.
So this one I got lucky years ago, and some guy's dad bought it and never really used it, so he sold it like half price, so I got for like 500. And so what I like about it is it's probably not, like this way, not probably, it's almost certainly not as good as Win or the other stuff, but it's got a lot of features you talked about, and basically in the box, ready to go package. It's got the agitator, so when I change the bag, I just run that around once and I just see a cloud fall into the bag. I can see it without any laser things, it's a visible bag. It's 1100 CFM, it's way more than I'll ever need. I don't have anything hard pipe, but if I did, it's got twin connectors already built in. You just loosen the little set screws there, lift it up, set it down and shake out and change your bag. So I like it a lot. It's got a vortex, like a dust chip collector, separator, whatever, built in already. So that has never clogged, ever. And it's including running a ton through it.
Oh, that's right. That's the one they put the cone in the middle of the.
Yes. So, like I said, it's something where if I got an awesome shop, like in an outbuilding, maybe I'd upgrade, but probably not, because pretty powerful. So I like it a lot, and just wanted to kind of. Oh, yeah, sorry. What's up?
More to testify to that point. I used to work in a production shop that saw thousands of board feet through a day. We just used those, so backed up to the tool more or less, and each one was responsible for, like, maybe one responsible for 2 saws or one responsible for 2 planers. And yeah, these were at pretty much every station for every tool, so if we ever had to move floor plan for production around, we would just move the dust collection with it instead of being hard pipe. So hard second on those because I've seen them in production use.
And metal impeller.
You have a
stuff
big
with
one.
pencil and chip.
Big long tube, yeah.
Yeah.
So a certain amount of friction.
So I have the same, unit as you got. The thing I don't like about it is the noise.
Yeah, this guy? Or I missed what you said.
The Harbor Freight.
Oh, the Harbor Freight.
My, pretty quiet, actually.
This is, it's one I never really used. Some like a Harrison for it, but it's.
Is it a metallic noise or it's just a?
What I'm hoping to do, I'm also building my own, and I've got pictures up on the website from this, you know. And I'm hoping to have an outbuilding. And I'm gonna build my shop in it with a ceiling. And then a loft above that, but I can, of course, I'm gonna put this dust collector on top of the ceiling.
Oh.
And then pipe it up to the.
Smart.
Yeah.
The only complaint I have about it is that the leg design is such that you can, if you're lazy like me and just like, I'll change the bag later. Eventually gets too so fly to like take the legs off once. It was easy, it's like 1 bolt, but still.
I mean, that's still stuff.
You have it grounded.
No.
Yeah.
This
I don't believe in grounding. I know that's controversial, but I
You
don't.
can't ground PVC. It's impossible.
Okay, here's my point. All right, so I took a whole graduate class on combustion, whole class. And you have to have enough fuel for it actually to combust.
And a big enough spark.
Yeah, let's say that's possible. You just have to have enough fuel. And if you do the math, which they actually exist for the engineering data for wood as a combustion source, it is an insane amount of wood. You cannot stand fast.
Can't do it.
Yeah. You can't plane fast
Can't be
because you actually need fine wood. So, nothing from a planer will do it. So you need to be sanding like an intense amount of sanding.
No, they've dispelled that a number of times. Mythbusters even had it on.
Yeah, I can't. Like, I'm just
They
like,
did it to the, right, because every time they dispel something, then it's like, what would it take to make this
Right.
happen?
yeah.
Yeah, because
can't do it.
silos have
Like,
blown up.
whenever
Flour
we're
mills have blown up. Well, that's not sawdust.
Exactly.
In a hobbyist wood shop.
Yeah.
Plus,
It
you
take a
can't
lot.
run it into-
So one other thing is I run mine goes to my CNC. CNC's got electronics in it, right?
Right, it's the static electricity.
Yeah, so they're static, so I had to run a copper wire. And I think the static, I don't know if it was full static, the static actually came from the Harbor Freight unit.
Hmm.
And there must have been something going on in there.
Dust running around the bag.
I don't know. So I had to, I had problems at times where stuff would stop. So I ran that wire,
Noise.
ran it on the outside. I mean, it didn't go on the inside. Like I said, you can't insulate an insulator and you can't ground an insulator. So, yeah,
But you
Now-
can absorb something.
now I don't have
without
any
dissipating.
problems, but I had to take care of the static. So
Yeah.
if you have electronics on the equipment that you're using.
Yeah.
You may want to do the full grounding through the system.
Right? So I'm gonna give you an example of the higher end of dust collecting. So
Okay.
it's not gonna apply directly to what we're doing, but there are some lessons learned that are applicable. So about 2 months ago, I just installed a $135,000 dust collecting system in my shop where I work, not at my home.
Got that old table saw. He's got that old, that Miami table saw.
Yeah, so it's a good professional unit. It's a Donaldson Torrey. It's like a number one manufacturer of dust collecting
Yeah,
units
they're good.
in the United States or in North America. And so you would think $135,000, you're getting the Cadillac of dust collecting. And it is a really good unit now. But when it got, and here's the caveat that I think people should pay attention to. Because some people were talking about how loud and noisy the dust collectors are. And it is directly applicable to this, quality control. So when it happened on our units, they were supposed to be balanced and inspected at the subcontractor that was making the blower unit portion of it. It gets shipped to Donaldson and it's all custom built from that point on. When they came to our shop and were installed, when we turned them on, they were ungodly noisy. And the air temperature in our dust collecting station. And so we do a lot of carbon fiber work. So that's for all this dust. So it's very similar to wood dust, but maybe even finer.
Yeah.
And so what was happening was within 90 minutes, we bumped the air temperature 31 degrees. And we thought it was from 50 horsepower of motors running. There's 5 10 horsepower motors running 5 collectors simultaneously. And so what it was, is they were out of balance. Somebody had just pushed them through the shop and put a sticker on it.
like the tire on a car out of balance?
Yeah, so it was way, way worse. So they had really good customer service, because once we complained about it, they're like, that should never be, you should not be having any of these problems. So they came and inspected, they figured out what this problem was. It was so bad, they did an immediate shutdown of their entire factory and contacted every customer within 30-day period and said, we have to inspect every installation. We were the very first one to complain about it. And so what it was is the service tech found out that the impeller gap was off and it was severely out of balance. It was, I think some of them were off like 56, 58 grams. So 2 ounces of weight. So that's, if you know what a lead weight looks like when you do your tire balancing,
That's a lot.
it's a lot of weight. And as soon, so he pulled one, went to his went back to his service shop, balanced it, put it back in and ran just the one, and it ran like a dream. He goes, that's the problem with all.
I'm sure that's a big impeller too,
Hey,
right?
actually,
Yeah, they're
20
big.
inch.
So when he redid it and put it in, now it's running quiet. And this thing so these things are running and they've got a floor sweep at the bottom of them. So they help draw the air. It is drawing dust from 12 feet away across the floor. That's the air these things are pulling.
It's a sucker. It's small.
Yeah. And so what I'm getting at is, so when you have something noisy, don't assume that it's balanced, especially if you're buying something that's used.
Yeah.
And there's simple things that you go online and you can look, but there's simple ways that you can check the balance on your impellers. And sometimes it's just a matter of, once you know where the heavy side is, you can file some of the weight off.
So actually, that's what I was gonna ask. Would you file it or would you go buy some like stick on wheel weights and put those on?
So depending on the RPM that it's running, you could just fling the weight. So
I
you're
wouldn't
not,
stick anything on unless you could weld it.
yeah.
Why?
Does it at 3,600 RPM with the vibrations, it'll shake it off. You can't trust an adhesive
I mean, it's like a
at a
bullet.
hardware store.
I trust them on my vehicle.
I was gonna say, what is your tire run at?
That's what I was thinking. I'm like, I don't know the RPM. I really should. I'm a bearing engineer, wheel bearing engineer. But I don't know.
I should not be admitting this.
I also own control arms. They don't rotate around.
But yeah, so like I said, just because we spent a lot of money on it, don't assume that you could definitely make improvements on the home units very easily.
Not to get too scary, I had a friend in Alta, up in the mountains. He had a grizzly dust collector. It was a Cyclone he bought. He bought it off Craigslist. He was out in the shop one day and he had it mounted off to the side one day. And at one point, he was luckily on one side of the shop. At one point, he heard a smack, a big bang, and then he saw a plume of dust over here. One of the blades of the impeller came off, went through the housing, and went all the way across. I'm not going to trust a rivet on an impeller.
And to Jared, answer your question that you should know the answer to, like 800 RPM to 60 miles an hour.
Yeah.
I know it varies based on like diameter, but still.
Well, we really said we go to 200, so yeah, not bad.
I have a far more low-end system than anything you guys have talked about.
Yeah.
Put up my.
Yours is lower end than free. Okay.
He's just going to have a picture of a broom and a
He's
dustpan.
just sitting there going.
Fireplace bellows.
Which one you want?
I start with the one that says 1 and then go to 2.
Alright, got it.
The
Non-filtration, I think.
right, so the most important thing, I consider myself a beginning woodworker. I started woodworking when I retired. I'm a retired pediatrician and I've been doing this in earnest maybe 5 years. So I'm a beginning hobbyist, okay? The most important thing I learned about dust collection is don't make dust. So once I learned how to plane, I made a whole lot less dust. Go to the next one. And one of the really important things I did was to switch from my Makita random orbit thing, which made a hell of a lot of dust, to a 3M's, I don't know, a year or two ago, they came out with this, it's fairly expensive, I think it's $400 or $500. And they came out with a new kind of sandpaper that's just full of holes.
The Merca sandpaper.
It looks like they turned over. And it looks like.
Yeah,
this.
it's similar.
So it sucks up, I would say 95% of the dust. It's amazing.
So I have a Festool and a 3M1, and I like, they both work up, I think, almost exact same dust. They're both really good.
Yeah.
And that paper makes a big difference.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
the paper's
Yeah,
amazing.
it works really well.
It's like 50 cents for one of these, and it lasts like 3 times as long as regular sandpaper.
You can use.
Hook and loop.
Yeah.
Yeah, just sticks on.
Use an interface pad, you can use it on your regular sander, like the Avernet woven
Yeah.
stuff, because it'll destroy the hook and loop on your sander.
You'll
the
mount
vacuum
it all
pad.
through.
So you need like a sacrificial pad in between.
Yeah, and you can buy those.
Right.
I bought one.
I just got one.
And it goes in between, I think,
Yeah,
That heat'll melt
Use
your
the
Velcro.
ad broken yet.
Go to the next slide. Yeah, so you just kind of go through these, but this is all my sanding stuff. And I have these little things I use for detail work. Keep going. And
Well, the
Private weapons.
those things are great.
Hell yeah.
so, okay. So
I've been
that's
trolling
up
Dave for
close.
20
And what's
years
nice
now.
about these is you can see this curves in, you know, this is concave, this is convex, you've got, you know, different diameters. This middle part comes out, you've got a couple more diameters. So those are really nice, and I just found those recently. So this is not meant to show my sharpening stuff, it's meant to show my rasp and my files. So I've gotten into rasping relatively recently, and I make a hell of a lot less dust using rasps and files than I do with sandpaper.
And it's kind of
You say
addictive.
this, but I noticed all your tools over here are covered in a fine layer of dust. Look at that ledge up there.
Next one.
The problem with them rasps, so,
Oh, that's it.
is that, there must be 1,000 different ones.
Oh, there are.
Yeah, there are. I have
The good
three,
ones are real expensive.
Those are.
and they're hand stitched. And I just recently for Christmas.
It's real addictive though, once you get into it.
That's Japanese.
Yeah, I just have the Japanese.
I don't use this much.
I bought
It's just-
one, and I
takes up too
second
much stuff
one,
too
and
fast.
4 now.
It's
Yes.
Yeah.
You get a portion of fine.
Yeah. I honestly, I like, this is perfect.
Those, that
I'm not,
probably.
you guys in this room
that
that are
just
real
use
professional.
that.
I'm not.
The Japanese.
Yeah.
RF.
Yeah.
I love that thing.
That's the one that's a bunch of like hacksaw blades
It's
glued together.
So this one here, this red handle, it's called a saw ref.
Yeah, it
Saw,
looks like
saw,
it's
it's like a bunch of hacksaw blades, like
together in a diamond.
like riveted or welded together. It
It's pretty
is
aggressive too, if you want it to really,
Yeah,
really
it's-
bear down on it.
super simple. Really,
Takes up a lot of stuff very fast.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a good rougher, for sure.
So go to the next one. So this is my overhead. This is a Win. And it was really filthy. So I took it apart and took pictures as I shaped the filter. So the outside is a 5 micron filter.
Yeah.
You take that off, and this is a 1 micron filter. And I'm a retired pediatrician, so I can tell you that 1 micron is what a HEPA filter is. Okay. And it's the stuff that's 1 or a half micron that's getting in your lungs and doing the damage. So that's what you want to get rid of. You know, if you're buying stuff that does 5 microns, that's
Saving
not
yourself
good
sweeping.
enough. Okay, so go to the next one. So here's the dirty one. When the weather's nice, I'll take these outside and I have a Makita blower and you just blow it backwards and you can use them, I would say 3 times. It costs about $10. So the first one catches a lot of dust. Now you can see they've been on the same amount of time. And you can blow this off too, but this is now the 1 micron, so the dust is a lot finer, but the first one is sticking out a lot of the dust. Go to the next one. So now both filters are out and that's the blower. Right, so go to the next one. So now I'm putting it back in. You'll go to the next one. The next one. And then this is the other side of the machine, and you know, it's up on the ceiling and there are controls. And here, go to the next one. Oh, you can see that was 5 microns and 1 micron. That's the box. It's like, go to the next one.
that's all there was.
Oh, well, what's not there is by the door of my shop is a remote control, because I don't want to climb up on a ladder every time you turn it on. It comes with a remote control. When I walk in the door of my shop, the first thing I do is turn on the overhead filter. So go to the next one.
That's all there was.
Yeah, so go to this file number
Yeah.
2.
That panel looks very similar to my jet overhead.
It's exactly the same. as my job. I think they're all made in 6. Yeah, probably.
Just got a different way.
All right.
So this is a rigid shop vac. It's a wet, dry shop vac. So when my daughter, sump pump failed and she had an inch of water in her basement, I took it all apart and she sucked all the water out of her basement with it. But I got a little cyclone, it's an Oneida, and So all of these things that hooks onto this, goes down, and this takes out this the heavy stuff. And then from there, it goes here to the next one. But I basically, all of these hoses are hooked up to each different machine. So when I'm gonna change machines, I'm there, I pull off one hose and I stick on another hose, and so that I don't trip on them, I run them through the rafters in the ceiling. So go to the next one.
Yeah.
So you can see that's the size particles. The first, this is basically a three-phase system. That's the first one. Then somebody talked about grounding. And NIDA recommends it grounding. So maybe that's a myth. Maybe don't have to do
No,
this.
they absolutely do, because from a liability standpoint, their lawyers will shoot them if they don't, so.
So here's my copper wire, and
Yep.
there's a washer.
Oh, I thought that was Jared's depth detector.
Yeah, that's why
It's very high tech, right?
Yeah.
So what's that term?
Is this your on-off switch on top?
Pretty
Right, that's what I used to do, actually.
Go to the next one. So now I that I was just showing on the top. Now I've opened it. Okay, and the stuff goes from the cyclone into this bag. So this is sports dust. This is fine dust, and this is like 1 micron. And what I've done a number of times when you were talking about the light, I think that'd be great. I've been looking for years for a clear 5-gallon bucket so I could see how much dust was in it.
I bought a clear 5-gallon bucket,
I couldn't find it.
and then there's enough static
Yeah.
that it adheres.
Just crowd
It's
it.
a layer of stock, so that's the board. My clear bucket.
You just saved me the
Like,
bucket.
I'm working with walnut, it turned into a brown bucket.
I'm gonna put that towards the $100 light. So what I've done is I get working and I forget, and this bag fills up and then it blows out, okay?
Eric, you can take that whole bin home with you right there. You can put your little cyclone on that bin right behind you. You can have, 33 gallons.
I got rid of the bin.
Cut a bigger hole and stick the shop back on top of it.
Yeah,
Like I said, it's
a
not,
hole.
it wasn't the cheapest thing, but that $150 little Anita thing. that was
You
worth
can
every
make
penny.
them too.
I-
Yeah,
I
I know.
had no idea I could make one. I just knew that I made the mistake twice. I said, I'm not gonna do this again.
Yeah, your frustration suddenly gets real worth it after a
Yeah.
while. Like, I'm gonna spend the money.
Yeah,
and save.
that's an anger buy. And I
Yeah,
completely-
totally.
That's completely
Rage
justified.
buying, I'm
Yeah, rage
familiar.
buying. You're like, "Fuck that."
Get this,
I'm done.
throw money at it.
So the cyclone is sports dust, this is fine dust, and then this thing is a HEPA filter. And you actually can buy these in different filtration of different size particles. And so when I was doing this, I went online to look at them, and they have a new one out now that's 0.03 microns. I haven't tried that, but that's
gonna have
really,
some
really
deep
fine.
tweets.
I would worry that you wouldn't be able to suck it.
Worry about the airflow.
Yeah.
How
You
fast
can look in here and you can see, there's no dust in here. I mean, there's a little dust that I didn't get out the bottom the last time the bag exploded. But it's basically clean in there.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's, in the rest of that.
Gotta have a filter to keep the filter clean.
So there's the filter. There's, the bags come like that and they're cheap.
That's all you have.
So do you use that setup with your 3M sander?
Yeah, that's what it's hooked up to.
So I bought the 3M sander probably about the same time you did. And that's what I was trying to decide is, does that type of system work okay? Or do I gotta drop?
Man, it works
$100
great
on it?
compared to what I was using.
So I had to find
Yeah.
that Turbo 2, Turbo 3, whatever it was. And when I bought my festival sanders, it was the same thing. The guy was like, oh, you need a dust jar. You need to have a Marsh tool. I was like, well, I have this fine. He goes, oh, just do that. So I hook it up to my fine, and I actually have a cord and the hose that I wrapped in a sleeve. So it goes together, and I just use that, and it works perfectly fine.
So I have the Festo extractor.
Yeah.
It's good.
It's nice, yeah.
I also bought this. Because someone in the club recommended this vacuum, the Harden at Walmart. I've heard of that. It will suck the crow, their complete statement was, it'll suck the crow off a hitch. They're not wrong. I bought one, it went on clearance, last year. I bought one, sorry, Gary.
No, that's okay.
I loved it, so I bought 3 more.
Wow.
I have bought 4 of these, okay?
So you're still.
When, W-E.
Oh, yeah.
Making up your mind on the fence?
Well, but.
Oh, W-Y-E.
I gave one to my father-in-law,
Yeah,
I gave
this
one
is
to my brother, I have
W-E-N.
one to-
Oh,
I've
okay.
managed to buy them.
And they make a
So I
lot
don't
of
back
inexpensive tools. Yeah, yeah.
I'm not, I don't
They're
actually.
they're good for beginning.
So I've got one with the Oneida, kind of the mid-size one.
Yeah.
That I use with a barrel like this. Thing to watch out for, this, and it's hooked up to an old Craftsman shop vac, or a Craftsman vac. It collapses the barrel. I had to put supports in there, so it didn't collapse the barrel.
This thing is amazing. I actually prefer it over the best tool. Dust extractor, like I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna sweep back in the floor. I do this. Super loud. It is, sounds like a damn jet engine, but it works amazing.
So I just bought, Home Depot sells mufflers for shopping.
Okay, no, I think this thing runs at like
It
a
works a
really,
little better.
I
It's like
think it-
15 bucks.
I think this runs at like a really high RPM.
So universal motor, yeah.
It's a big, it's a loud line, so anytime in the shop, I wear 3 things. I always wear safety glasses, I wear a respirator, and I always wear my earbuds. It's just my standard, like, it's my profile picture on our forums, like, I only wear that when I'm doing this stuff. I walk outside when the neighbors are driving by us, because I'm a corner lot, and everyone sees me, I don't care. People think I'm probably making mess, I don't care.
Can I,
Really loud.
can I say one more thing I forgot to say?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Eric.
That's right. When I was looking online, because I used my last filter on the ceiling one, I've never seen this before, but now they're making one of those, the outer one, that's kind of shaped like this,
This,
with a charcoal filter stuck in there.
yeah.
And I never seen that before. I wondered if anybody
I
had
think
experience.
for
with
electrostatic sensation,
Email.
smell.
Yeah.
It's gonna affect smell.
that. Yeah, and does it work? I ordered one just to try it. but-
So you'll tell us. Eric, this is, so I have,
Yeah, it's like that.
JDS, I think,
Yeah.
it's,
They don't make them anymore.
yeah, I bought this a long time ago, used,
Okay.
and it's got the reusable, it's like, the first filter is like a reusable,
Electrostatic.
I don't know,
Yeah.
it's plastic, it looks like
Oh.
fishing line,
Yeah.
to be honest. So you wash it out with like water, it works pretty well, but it didn't have a timer. So that's super annoying. So all I did is, you know, like the thing sometimes you see in hotels where you crank it and it's mechanical. So I just bought one of those. That was $20 on Amazon, and it I can now set it for 6 hours and it just dial it in.
Gil's got a drawing.
Yeah.
You know, your picture that Eric put up with the filters. I was at Habitat and they had 3 of those filters laying around, so I got them fairly cheap. So I took those and I took a piece of glue on it. I was gonna bring it in, but then I forgot to get it around it today. I took a piece of glue on 30 inches by 30 inches.
That's what I have.
And these filters.
Okay,
were
yeah,
20
just
bucks.
seeing that expensive. No.
For what it is.
And so I put these filters.
I've got
around it, and I bent up a piece of aluminum
It's just got
like that for a little channel.
like a pleated filter.
Overhead.
Yeah, one of the next one that goes behind it.
Cloth. And then I put another piece of glue on top of it, so I got sandwiched together, it's about so high and 30 by 30. And then that fan blows into that cavity, and we were using it here just last week, or actually earlier this week. I was chipping up a bunch of concrete, and even from fairly far away, I was sweeping, you see the dust going in, and it would really pull in all that dust that was airborne. Anything that was too heavy, we were sweeping the floor because that stuff would drop right out. But this worked real good. And
What is it, just a box fan?
it's just a box. Oh yeah, just a box fan. Yeah, yeah.
Like a window box fan.
Yeah, window box fan.
A
Yeah.
window.
You know, that you buy for
Like this.
10, 12 bucks now.
So I actually made this summer, and it's the same box fan, or like a, standard thing, and duct tape the hell out of it. It's got 4 filters all around, and it's shaped to blow up. It's actually.
Oh, yeah, just like that.
I
yeah.
saw a model to put in classrooms when COVID was at peak. They like showed like all of math. And these are just 1-inch filters, and it's great. It's portable. I can put it near I want it, but it's also a pain in the ass because it's always portable in the way. But
Yeah.
I'm like, I couldn't hang it from the ceiling. I just haven't decided to do it yet.
So I know a lot of these filters aren't like the HEPA, right?
Probably not.
You can get them in half, but you can get them in different.
Yeah, so I wanted to point out, so Dave Zaret's not here, but he went in was it U of M?
You have
Yeah.
property disposal.
Property disposal. He found a bunch of HEPA filters, super cheap. And then he bought he has three units. He was
Yeah, it looks similar to that.
He just
Yeah.
put one up. He's got a bunch of squirrel cages that he built boxes for.
Yeah, so now he's got got a bunch of fans from furnaces. Furnace fans.
Big squirrel cage fans, a lot of air.
Yeah, so he did that. Pretty clever. So before we run out of time,
So say, that's not the most fun part. In true day form, he also wired so you could control his Wi-Fi on the one.
yeah. Honestly, I was thinking about, I should just put mine on a motion picture. That's probably the smart thing.
Yeah, you can like $50.
And you can get like, you can get a programmable, so like, you have it like run for so long, and after the motion is gone. Which would be the smartest move, because then I'd never forget.
The other thing I should have said that I didn't say, and I didn't bring a picture of it, but I have 3 remotes that I've fixed to various machines with just magnets. And you plug your shop vac into it, and then you plug that into the wall.
Yeah.
And so once I've got it hooked up the way I want, with the hose, I can turn the machine, the dust collector for that machine on and off from any of 3 places in my shop. So, and my machines are sort of clustered, so each one of those might be near 3 machines.
Yeah, because I hooked up my shop apron, so it was around me all the time.
Yeah. So
It's a pain in the ass, because when you're moving around, that thing's wobbling around, but that's,
I want to talk hard piping.
oh yeah.
Can we talk hard piping? Frank, real quick? So hard piping versus not hard piping. Who does which and why? Yeah, go for it.
So I'm cheap, so I don't like PVC because the fittings are freaking expensive. I did, in my last shop, I did just HVAC snap together ductwork, and I ran as big as the machine could take. So I put 6-inch off the dust collector and I necked down to 4. The main reason, Flex is more expensive to run the lengths I needed to go. And it kills the airflow big time.
Tons of turbulence in the Flex.
All the turbulence, you need as laminar a flow as possible. That's just a standard fluid dynamics thing. It is at times annoying because once you've rigid piped in, when you make a change, you got to deal with that. But totally worth it for me. I have tons of Flex and I only use it from a blast gate to the machine.
Right.
But everything else from the collector, as far as I possibly can, I stay solid.
Now for PVC, I went with, you're right, like if you were doing schedule 40, it's way more.
Especially 6-inch fitting.
I did sanitation,
Yeah,
so I did the thin wall.
yeah.
And I have it on the wall, super cheap to, switch out and whatever. And then from the wall to the machine is, but it minimized the flex as much as possible.
Always.
Because it's just
But,
turbulence.
but now going back to the fact of keeping, whenever you gonna try to make a 90, you actually gotta get a pair of.
Yeah,
For
I
30.
did the
Yeah.
adjustable 90s in the HVAC.
I
did
always-
2 of those.
I leave like a
did-
certain number of 2 feet, and then you take
Yeah.
a 30 and a 30, and you get,
I did
like
the
45.
adjustable one because no building I've ever occupied has ever been square and straight. So when I want 90, I actually want 87 or 93 or whatever, and I can adjust it and get that, and then tape the hell out of all those joints.
I was gonna say, you have to tape everything, because I had that
Everything.
at first and I was losing so much in every joint.
And also duct tape isn't. Use the aluminum tape.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm sure everybody knows that. I'm surprised we've gotten through a dust collection talk without mentioning the all hallowed Bill Pence.
Oh, yeah.
Cause I had one of the cyclones. I lived really close to him. I've been to his house. He gave me a cyclone kit. Cause it was rusty in his backyard, but I just thought about, you guys have all talked about stuff that he was like fanatical about, like the
the real danger is the submicron dust. That was something he was really pushing for years. And I've got the kit, I've got the Jet 1100, and he sold me a 2-horse blower. And I'm trying to decide if I want to put all that outside and then run a big old trunk down the middle. I'm still working that out. That's where I'm at, is figuring out how to plumb a 1,400 square foot shop space. I know it's a tough problem.
Well, the other thing you mentioned was the size of the tube.
Yeah.
And if you look at flow through a tube.
Yep.
Is the flow is inversely proportional to the fourth power radius.
You're right.
So very tiny increases in the radius or the diameter
Pull
of
it
the
way
tube
down.
make a huge difference in the flow.
It's not just about a big hole. You gotta have the airspeed, keep
Yeah.
the dust in the air while it's moving, otherwise it'll just settle in the pipe. That's another.
And until it fills up enough, and then it's a smaller pipe.
Then it's a 4-inch hose and you're
And then
good.
no cleaning.
Unless your blower can't handle the static pressure of a reduced thing, and then
It'll eventually move.
eventually sort of.
Or you call a plumber and you got a real weird request.
Yeah.
Stick out like this.
Make a 4-inch pipe. Yeah.
Yeah, I ran all 6-inch. I'll probably run 8 at this place because I'm gonna have to let longer runs.
Yeah.
Right up there, the PVC just gets so, those fittings, 6-inch fittings are expensive. I don't even want to look at what 8-inch fittings are. And it's like, I'm still deciding if I want to go with that, what is it, the Nordfab stuff? I'm sure Dave's.
Oh,
Just
spiral,
spirals
yeah.
with the fancy, like, I don't want to spend $75 for a 10-foot straight pipe. I want.
I've seen it every now and then. You see it on like Facebook Marketplace. Cheap. I know
Yeah.
it's weird, but I keep seeing it stuff.
Yeah.
There's-
I think I saw something on Facebook Marketplace. Some guy he had an ungodly, like a whole garage full of the 6-inch,
Yeah.
connector.
I need that
Just
guy.
come and get these things. I
Oh,
want
I
them
need
gone.
that guy so bad.
Yeah, I remember this posting because I'm just like, well, that's cool. I'm like, oh no, I don't. So I have a small baking shop. I don't even know what it is.
Yeah, but these things were like, they were
Yeah.
big.
I
They
need
were-
that.
I think I
8
maybe have
inch.
500 square feet, maybe 400, probably 400.
That's
square
what
feet.
I came from.
So I don't hard pipe anything because it's all mobile, and I basically always cut. Or my workbench is in one area. I have like solid static tools, and by static tools I mean miter saw and a drill press. So I have a desk like I have to buy drill press.
Yeah.
So there.
It's so hard to hook.
Have you guys ever done something on small shops? I'd love to hear about that. I got, mine's 20 by 22, so it's what, 400 square feet.
I think that's what most of us have. I
Yeah.
mean, don't get me wrong. There's some of us who are very.
We did one a few years, it's been a few years or more than we've done it.
My first shop was 8 by 23. And I crammed twice as much as you should in there. I had a 2-foot path around things, and it was real tough to get her, but I did manage. It was.
Yeah.
Because I wanted the tools. I didn't care that I didn't have the space. I'd find somewhere to bolt it to or put it on the wall somewhere. But that was a real tight space. Then I got a 2-car garage and I plumbed, but Jared, I can totally relate to the low ceilings. I had a 6'9", 7 foot, I think it was almost 7 foot ceiling.
Yeah,
But I had an attic, so I could run stuff up there, which was really nice.
The floor is not level by any imagination.
I put it floored down because of that same problem. I put down.
No, I mean, they sloped it for drainage.
Yeah.
Basement, so it's like. It's a real fun problem.
My first one looked more like the Rockies. It was so.
Stuff all this, I'll fix that.
Yeah, but that's a lot, and I have to rip up all
you
the
lose your drainage.
helix stick tile that someone put down in the 70s. Probably full of asbestos. It's just shims are cheap, man.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, shims are cheap.
I use wedges,
Yeah, that's all
You
that's what I
just
mean.
put them in until they stop.
Right, you go to grab the little bundle for $2 at Home Depot and you got 500 shims you can use because you break them.
Yeah,
you can
I
use
just leave them all over the place. Well, I just literally like, it's only from when I move my tools. I'm like, oh, gotta do this. It's a little wonky. You know, 4 points of contact. It's currently not great.
Right.
Just hammer one in until it stops moving, and you just cut the.
Yeah.
And I also have like certain spots I like that you just.
Oh, yeah. You got your favorite home.
Take the floor.
No, actually, you just know. You're like, this is where it is. Like, you know, it's like a basketball player who doesn't need all the lines of the court. They're like, no, this is where the 3-foot line is. They just know.
Right.
Jared's an athlete of the shop.
Yeah, that's what it is.
That's what he was saying.
Don't let this body fool you.
I have a suggestion for the static electricity. You've got electronics that are sensitive because we're all deep explosion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you got electronics that are sensitive to it, just have a small metal duct
transition and ground that.
Yeah, if you ground your sensitive machine, that'll get it before it gets to before the noise makes it too. That's a way to do it.
Oh. I've got the CNC, it's a professional CNC.
Email.
And if I didn't ground all the way from the dust collector motor all the way up through along the pipes and through, even though they're on dedicated circuits.
Oh, yeah.
Right. No, what you were getting was more problematic with noise, which was being influenced by that static electricity. If you could, I don't know if you tried this, but
Well, here's what my diagnosis was when I went over after it froze and a little bit of angst and all that stuff. I went over and touched the spindle.
Yeah, you got a zap.
And I got a zap.
Yeah.
So there was static coming through there.
Yeah, which was causing noise,
So after I grounded the motor of the dust collector all the way over to the spindle to the frame of the
I'm curious to see
CNC.
how my CNCs do in the new shop.
Huh?
I'm real curious to see how my CNCs handle the new shop, because
Yeah.
they've only lived in one shop, so we'll see how they do.
Yeah.
right in there.
Hey, Brant, you wanna?
Yeah,
Sorry, we're running low on time here, folks.
no, I'm just doing something between what you were doing and some of these other things. When I put in a shop, got Oneida to help me. And so this is another way to go. It's certainly not cheap, but it's a good way to go. So what you do is they send you a form that's just a number of years ago, the form probably changed. What machines do you have? How often do you use them? And so forth. Go to the next slide. And then you send them a diagram of what your shop is and so where the machines are. And then go to the next slide. And then they send it back. They measure everything. They figure out all the flows for you. So the right sort of pipes, the pipes themselves come as flat sheets, and you roll them and they hook together. You tape them, all the connectors and everything's labeled. And I thought this was going to take days to put in. It took us about 2 hours to put in a very complicated shop with multiple drops and multiple things. It really was remarkably easier than I expected. But they did a great job and the system's been working great. So the only complaint that I have, such as it is, it has a remote on it and the remote seems to fail about every 5 years. And it's the box that fails. I mean, it's at the box. So you replace the box and you get another remote. So the good news is I now have 3 remotes that work. I have 3 different places in the shop, but it goes together really easily. It has the sensor, as I said, that's on the top of the lid. When it gets full, it sends the strobe off, and then you just have to stop and say, okay, it really is full. I got to go out and empty it, but it works really well.
Here was the first place I ever saw that, and when I was throwing stuff against the wall one day, I'm like, wait a minute, Grant had that thing. What's that thing?
Yes,
It's the best.
it works really well. And so this is a number of years ago, so I'm sure it's increased in the price, but if you want to put in a system that stays in one place, it's great. Each of these pieces, they show you each one, would have a metal piece that goes to it, and then the last little piece is flexible hose. So we actually have a little bit of ability to move around the machines, and it's really not hard to disconnect the machine if you need to move it someplace else. But I'm lucky enough that I can leave my machines basically where they are. All I wanted to say.
Hey, Brant, I can't remember if it's them or one of their competitors, but I think now they actually have it as an app where you can do all the design online without having to send it to it. You can like drag and drop.
Oh, cool.
And put stuff in. I can't remember who it is that does it.
Oneida, if you buy from Oneida, but if you buy from Oneida, they'll do all the design for free. They'll charge you, and then if you buy, they credit it to your purchase.
What brand did Dave Zarrett buy?
He's got a couple. He's got an Oneida back under the stairs. I don't remember what's up front.
Well, anyway, he kind of went through a system, a company, and they all installed it in his whole shop, and he was disgusted with it for years. And
Yeah, the filters weren't enough and he was very annoyed with it. And that's when he called up Win, I think.
Win, yeah.
And he's like, what am I doing? They're like, well, you have 2 filters and you need 6.
Yeah.
And they're
I
like,
think it's the Oneida.
oh.
Well, again, my experience was good with them, so I'll pass that along.
All right, there was also, someone had this one.
Oh, yeah. Well, I've been listening to everybody collecting fines. Well, I have a tendency to get stuff that's larger type articles. And there's two types of dust collectors. You have this one, which if you've gone to the wood shows, they've got this, and it's essentially, it's essentially a pipe.
It doesn't help, sorry.
Yeah, it's a pipe inside of a pipe. And, it doesn't really collect anything. It really doesn't. So, recently we came upon one of these, which is, a different type of system. And it works. And it works really well. You hook it up to a shop vac. My system is basically 2 shop vacs. You hook it up to a shop vac and it collects all of the chips, especially the fines and the larger ones. I did some planing recently and it was amazed that if I had used this system, when I planed about 3 or 4 black walnut boards, there would be just a little bit of dust or chips in the bottom of this one, and the dust collector, the shop vac head was solid. With this system, by golly, the 5 gallon bucket was solid with chips, and the dust in the shop vac had virtually 0. So anyway, I want to say, hey, this thing really does work. Okay, next slide.
Good question. Another question.
No, he has it right here.
Dust stopper, dust stopper, Home Depot. Seriously, Home Depot.
I think
Dust
Menards
stopper,
has it
60
as
bucks.
well.
Yeah. But this, the orange is Home
And
Depot.
the best part is, that's just based on a time baffle.
Yeah, it's like a curvy time baffle.
Yeah.
It looks a little, I actually like that more than I like the sheet metal version I've got. I like the
Yeah.
curviness of it.
60 bucks. Yeah. Yeah. And it fits to a standard size, 5 gallon bucket. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. But what I did find is that, it wouldn't collapse, but I had to. It's got a couple clamps on either side. It had a tendency to blow out, so I had to put another set of
Oh, yeah.
clamps on either side to hold it more solid. For instance, like this one had exactly the same problem. I'm hooking this up to the Walt 537 planer. And that DeWalt has a blower on it.
Oh,
And you hook this up to a shop vac, and it blew this out. And it also blows this out, so I had.
It's literally being pressurized because it's like the blower is probably more powerful than your vacuum.
Yeah.
I have a question. My problem with my system is if I try and suck up shavings from a flame,
Yeah.
it clogs up the system. Has anybody got a solution?
Yeah.
I have to sweep, but
So
basically.
I go back to my solution. I go back to what those people, the originators of the hand plane used, Hazelbrook.
Yeah, that's what I have to do.
Unless you have real big duct work, it's gonna clog.
You almost need like a garbage disposal in your dust cleaner.
Grind it. Garbage
Yeah.
is-
No,
Shouldn't try that.
I'll hurt your hand. You're gonna put it in there.
Yeah, it's like with fan blades, let the suction power the spinner with just sharpen those up good.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Thread your.
Just start hot gluing in razor blade.
So anyway.
Balance.
Yes, make sure it's balanced.
I was thinking in the doctor.
Still make sure that's balanced.
Yeah. So anyway,
Don't stick your finger in it.
this $60 unit works. This one needs improvement.
Not so much.
Well, I'm glad that one works, folks. Someone literally a coworker just asked me about that. I think this works. I don't know. I just don't get the Oneida duct devil or whatever.
Yeah, I just bought the small one, that goes on a bottle. Yeah, it works, but it's hard as hell to keep the thing from flopping all over on.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna have to mount it to something.
Yeah.
Don't use.
Oh, I know.
You're right,
That's
that's
a bricks
cheap.
It's not a standard 5 gallon. So when I bought my little one, before I built that dust collector, I had that little guy and it came with an Oneida bucket. I'm like, great, but it's like a 3.5 gallon bucket. So I'm like, oh, I want to put this on a bigger.
I'll have to get some
It's
pictures
unique
of it.
size.
I'll have to get some
Yeah.
I'll need to get some pictures, but I took my whole shop vac apart. I just took the top off, got rid of the bottom with the wheels. I built a big box. Stuck the vacuum to that and I stuck the dust deputy on the side of the box.
Yeah.
And now I've got 60 gallons worth of shavings to catch. The only time I use it is empty.
You take home with a big bag.
Right.
So playing inside the house, I really keep it stuff.
Oh, yeah. I use that when I got crap I don't want in my dust
Yeah,
collector.
no, you know, they do have plans for it. Yeah, you can easily pull this off, you know. And
Yeah, we gotta go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
Whoever grabbed the first.
Putting two samples together.